See that we've hit the 4:30 mark, so let's go ahead and get started here. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Maria, you want to lead us in invocation, please?
Dear Lord, we come to
Amen. Thank you, Miss Maria. You always do such a nice job. We appreciate that. We'll go ahead and call to order the workshop. Item number 1 is review of the quarterly investment report for the period ending June 30th, 2026. Turn it over to you, Daniel.
Yes, sir. So if y'all will go to your packets, this is under WS1. And this is a quarterly report for April, May, and June 2026. And I'll go and read it verbatim. The above referenced report is hereby presented pursuant to the Public Funds Investment Act for your review and acceptance. This quarter investment disbursements totaled $15,522,455, consisting of project construction and bond payments. Other sources include net internal transfers totaling $1,466,488, contributions from TxDOT grants $1,359,116, and total interest earned $906,802. The Public Funds Investment Act also requires the report contains a statement of compliance signed by the investment officer as presented below. So I have to go ahead and sign off on this. Essentially, $15,522,455 were spent. About $3.2 million was spent on paying bonds that are issued for the projects, and about $12.3 million were spent on construction and consultants. We have sent a reimbursement to TxDOT for approximately $41 million. So the next quarter, hopefully, we'll be going up by that amount. Overages from ProMiles and overages from the VRF is going towards the contingency as reflected on the report. Does anybody have any questions on this workshop item?
We hear any questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I think it's just the workshop. I don't think there's a motion right now. I think the approval comes during the actual
meeting?
agenda.
Okay. Understood. That makes sense. All right.
Yes, yeah, it'll be listed on 3D.
Okay, got it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Very good. Nothing else on the workshop?
No, sir.
Then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn the workshop.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Then we are adjourned. We'll call to order today's meeting and establish a quorum for our regular meeting.
Yes, we do have quorum. I just want to verify that Director Javier Peña is online.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, thank you,
I
sir.
heard I'm here.
Yes, sir, do have quorum.
Okay. Very good. Any public comment?
We didn't receive any public comment, but I did want to introduce the group to Luis Lujan. He was recently hired to our organization. He will be working on in-house design for segment 4 for the 365 tollway. So we're hoping to progress a PSNE for that and try to get shovel ready for grant funding and for TxDOT funding. Obviously, we're going to have Consor working on section A, C, E, and F. We're hoping that Luis can also help produce schematics and for projects that they're not working on. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to deliver the loop much quicker.
Quicker is better. Welcome. Welcome to the team. All right. Item number one, Chairman's report. It says none, and actually, I don't have anything for any kind of action or anything, but as far as just comments, I will, again, not for any action, but just as FYI, I want to thank the staff, specifically Daniel and the work that they're continuing to do. I'm sure we'll get a little bit of report on outreach, but I wanted to just highlight the fact that we've got a continued substantial amount of outreach to our stakeholders and the people in the community. I'll let Daniel report our latest meeting with the chief of the Department of Public Service, DPS, and some of the work we're trying to do on the overweight corridor. There's a lot of moving parts, and I just want to say thanks to the staff and report the fact that your RMA is out there and pushing to try to make things happen. And like Daniel said, sooner rather than later. So that's what I have under Chairman's report.
Appreciate it, Chairman.
You bet. Item number two, staff reports. Item A.
We have two staff reports. Report on program management activity for the 365 Tollway project. This will be presented by Ruben Alfaro, and then that'll be followed by 2B, report on construction activity for the 365 Tollway project. That'll be presented by Ramon Navarro.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Directors, Ruben Alfaro, Development Engineer for the record. I'll be presenting on the overweight permit summary and some development updates for you all. So for the month of July, from July 1st, 2026 to July 31st, 2026, we issued a total of 6,128 permits for a total amount collected of $1,285,827.28. In the total amount of permits, that represents a negative 0.86% change from 2025. But in the amount collected, because of the rate increase, we had a positive 1.93% change. From that amount, $23,459.28 were convenience fees, leaving $1,262,368, from which the RMA received $170,971.20, for a percent increase of 2.45% for the same month in 2025. We did, at the request of Director Ochoa, we did inquire into the numbers of the Port of Laredo, the overweight permits. We only received an average for 2026, a monthly average. They issue 966 permits per month, so we're 6 times above them. So sounds like we're doing much better. But we'll be getting numbers on the monthly basis so that we can see any trends compared to our numbers. We asked for them, but we haven't received them to date. Moving on to the next slide. Here we can see the month-to-month comparison. As we can see here, we are a little bit below on the month of July as well for the total amount of permits, but in amount collected, we're above still. Next slide shows the top permit users for the month of July. Pedro Espino Diaz, which has been our top permit user, went to second place. So the first place this month was Logística en Carga Refrigerada with 183 permits, just 2 permits above Pedro Espino Diaz. So next, for the January 1st of 2026 to July 31st of 2026, so year to date, we have issued 41,159 permits, very close to what we have issued by this month in 2025, with only a negative 0.07% change. Total amount collected, $8,639,786.44, from which the RMA has collected $1,148,108.40, for a positive percent change of 3.24%. Next slide will show the cumulative permit totals by month for the year. As we can see, we're slightly below in the total permits by the month of July, but we're, like I said, above in the amount collected. And finally, for the accumulated oversized permits from January 1st, 2014, when we started issuing these permits, to July 31st of this year, we have issued a total of 495,673 permits. Total amount collected, $90,282,954.44, from which the RMA has received $11,853,507.60. And that's all I have under the overweight permits. We did also, one last thing, we did take a look at the total amount of trucks that cross through the city of FAR northbound, and how many of them are getting the overweight permit. Just for information, we are at a 10% capture rate. So 10% of the vehicles that cross through the FAR bridge get an overweight permit with us. Moving on to development updates, we have prepared an RFQ for surveying services that will be presented to the board on this meeting. This is to obtain the necessary surveys for segment 4, so that our new engineer can start designing that segment. And we're currently still in negotiations with Consor for the schedule and the fees for section A, and we'll be also receiving section C fee and schedules. And then we do have an upcoming presentation at the FAR International Truck Expo. We'll be at the Bridge Connect in the morning, and then we'll have a table at the actual expo. After that, presenting about the overweight permit and giving the people information. At that expo, we'll also be presenting a small token of appreciation to the top permit user for 2025. So we'll be out there recognizing them for their use of the overweight permit. And that is all I have.
Ruben, are the majority of these overweight permits generated in Mexico, or do they have to be generated here in the United States?
No, majority of them are generated, about 90% are generated.
And then so they use
Northbound.
the FAR International Bridge coming northbound.
Yeah.
Before they jump on our system.
Correct. Yeah, they get the permit, they get on the scale on the Mexican side, they generate the permit, and then they cross.
But the city doesn't get any type of reimbursement for maintenance on their bridge that these trucks are, 90% of these overweight trucks are
They
crossing.
do not. No.
Okay, I was just curious. It was a little unfair. The tech stack gets all the money.
What about the trucks that are headed southbound?
Some of them,
What percentage get a permit headed southbound?
it's of the permits they get from us, it's about less than 10%. Yeah. So our majority of permit holders are coming northbound.
A lot of times are empty, aren't they, going south?
There's a mix. There's a mix. Yes.
It might be good to have Luis kind of present to us from the FAR International
Because
Bridge.
Daniel, the political pressures for southbound trucks, right?
I'm sorry?
The news articles I sent you, that's.
Yes, yeah.
But it sounds like there's not that many permits for trucks that are actually coming south with overweight stuff.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, I think we've been kind of caught into the concern that's out there. The concern there is, fuel, right? That's going southbound to Mexico, going towards illegal activities, on the other side of the border. It doesn't really appear that our roadways, our overweight corridor roadways are being used to allow that to happen. But unfortunately, those activities are causing concern with expanding the overweight corridor and getting through 65, on the overweight corridor, et cetera. So, and that's kind of what the chairman had mentioned. That's kind of some of the outreach that we're trying to do with DPS and with our elected officials,
Or even maybe get a reporter to do a counter article with the facts of what the permits are being issued for.
Yeah, and
There's
that
several
spike,
articles saying the opposite.
that spike that we saw in 24 was majority of the southbound trucks crossing the fuel. But now that they're not,
May
Which
it's
isn't
most,
happening anymore.
sorry?
Right?
May 2024, there's like this huge spike
Yes,
on the.
yes.
But that hasn't
Yeah.
happened since, right?
no.
But that's something that we could work on,
Yeah, I think
is
that would
to
be
get the
really
data,
helpful.
yeah.
Well, that's you know, that's part of the outreach and the efforts that the RMA is, you know, working on. We know, okay, illicit activity that's taken place up and down the border. We want to partner with the DPS. We're certainly against that. We want, but at the same time, we want to take care of, I mean, you can look at our permit holders right here, every one of them by name. You know, it's produce, food products, I think is the way you have it labeled for the most part. And got to try to, you know, find solutions and help solve the issues for them to be able to do that. And, you know, the whole, that whole system, the overweight corridor system, is one that I don't think it's fully understood by the average. I know I didn't, and probably still don't fully, but the understanding that it makes good economic sense, and at the end of the day, even helps the end consumer if the transportation companies can get an overweight corridor permit fee. They pay the fee, so you would think that's not something that they're in favor of. However, we've learned that they happily will pay the fee because it gives them an end total cost that's favorable. And they're using the overweight corridor to get onto our roads and get across the bridge, get over to the warehouses where things get redistributed and shipped northbound to grocery stores, et cetera. And more of that is happening all of the time, and we want more of that. So this is a very important topic, and one that the RMA is working hard to try to ensure that we definitely are on the team for, you know, safe. That's partly what the corridor is about. In big way is safety and getting those overweight trucks off our public roads, but do it in a way that you know, it's beneficial like this. And so I think that's a great idea, Director. You know, to ensure that the narrative is understood, and staff, Ruben, maybe we, you know, any efforts that we can make to try to get the message and what are the positive things happening here. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's a net better cost to the consumer when these folks can get on the corridor and save dollars on their products. So again, any other questions for Ruben? Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I did want to say that we are planning an overweight corridor forum on October 9th. To, you know, and that's going to be primarily the business community who's going to speak out to the benefits of the overweight corridor. So, you know, we're hoping that can kind of sway the court of public opinion.
How are you going to market that, or how are you going to announce that to the public?
The individuals who are actually taking a lead with it is actually Realplex. So they're actually taking a lead with it. But I mean, it's really the business community advocating for these overweight corridors.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to the next item on our agenda. Welcome, Ramon. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. For the record, Ramon Navarro, I'm the Chief Construction Engineer for the Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority, and I today am accompanied by our consultant specialist, our subject matter expert, Mr. Andrew Kedemus, for providing you the insight on the toll integration project. So he'll be presenting on the toll infrastructure, and I'll present on the construction project. So Andrew, the floor is yours, sir.
Welcome, Andrew.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Directors. I have a short PowerPoint presentation for you about the current status of the back office system integration and toll rates. There. Yes, there we go. So over the past year and a half, we have made substantial progress in advancing relationships and partnerships with other agencies in order to reduce our cost of collecting tolls and also improve what will be the customer experience on the roadway. As you know, primary partner is CSA, that is our toll system integrator responsible for the roadway equipment that will be detecting vehicles and creating toll transactions. Those toll transactions need to go into a back office system, basically the software that will process those transactions and post them to accounts or send bills for those who don't have accounts. For this, we looked to third-party back office service providers, and Cameron County RMA or CCRMA has a relationship with the Harris County Toll Road Authority or HCRA. For the past, back in I believe 2023, those two agencies signed an interlocal agreement that would allow CCRMA to use HCRA's back office software for the processing of their tolls. And that system has been live for about a year now. The agreement between CCRMA and HCRA created basically another toll tag brand called Fuego. And we saw this opportunity to tag on to that agreement to embrace Fuego as the regional brand for tolling and partner with them. So under this agreement, again, CCRMA, we are leveraging their current agreement with HCRA. Again, HCRA's back office processes tens of millions of transactions per month already. And the CCRMA is also going to provide local customer service. They will answer the phone calls when customers call who have Fuego accounts or who have received a toll bill in the mail. Harris County Toll Road Authority will provide the software, the robust business rules behind the engine, kind of behind that customer service center. And then there's the Central US Interoperability Hub. This is where really text tag, Kansas, Oklahoma, Colorado, even Florida tags seen on our roads will get paid through that hub for a very small fee. And so all of that partnership has come together. In order to do this, there were a couple of interlocal agreements that I just want to describe. Again, between CCRMA and HCRA, they signed that ILA or interlocal agreement in 2023. We needed to create an interlocal agreement specifically with CCRMA. You all approved that, and that was executed last October. Recently, just in the past month, we have negotiated a statement of work. This is the document that outlines the scope of what HCRA needs to do to their back office software in order to accommodate the 365 tollway. That SOW was assigned by CCRMA, HCRA, and HCRMA, and we had our kickoff on Friday. So that process of modifying the back office system is underway. And just a friendly reminder that this partnership is possible with zero capital costs upfront. Not for the software implementation by HCRA. We appreciate their partnership, nor with CCRMA. As I reported, I think last year, this agreement should save us at least $500,000 in capital costs and well over $100,000 a year in operating expenses. One more interlocal agreement that we are working on that will come to you at some point in the future is a interlocal agreement between HCRMA and HECTRA. While that is not necessary for us to go live, it is basically a backup toll service agreement. So if CCRMA decided to stop tolling tomorrow, that HCR or HECTRA would be able to seamlessly take over the processing of the back office transactions for us, and we wouldn't be dependent on the CCRMA agreement with HECTRA. Any questions on that?
Bring up a good point. What should we be looking at as an organization to see if CCRMA is having some type of conflict internally or something to where maybe down the road they would stop providing those services? What kind of advice would you give us on that?
Well, I think that's why we use a belt and suspenders approach, right? We have a backup service agreement with HCRMA, or I'm sorry, with HECTRA directly to take over, and we have not quite outlined what those parameters or criteria would be under which they would take over, but those are the things that we'll think about and make sure that to include in that agreement. But we are working very closely with CCRMA, with HECTRA on a weekly basis, and have developed good relationships with them. And I want to say that they have been very good partners.
In terms of projections, Andrew, and I know that there were some done in preparation, et cetera, but just to kind of get a feel, and maybe you can speak to this now, or maybe it's something you have to look up, but as far as tolling in CC RMA versus Hidalgo County RMA, what will those numbers kind of sound like?
So right now, in the first year, I think 2 to 3 years, CCRMA is going to have more transactions than HCRMA, but pretty quickly we even out and end up having about the same number of transactions being processed by HECTRA. As our system expands, demand grows, we could surpass CCRMA's transaction volumes as well.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Next.
Just a reminder of the system layout. We have 4 mainline gantries, 5 ramp gantries. Each one of these assesses a toll as folks drive through them. They are positioned so that we can charge people based on the number of miles they travel on the roadway. So then we get to establishing our actual toll rates that will be assessed. This is necessary now because we are building the back office and need to start programming in the toll rates. Also because we're going to be putting signs out to advertise the toll rates. So we worked with C&M Associates, the traffic and revenue consultant. They used the 20 cents per mile, which was a 2020 toll rate mentioned in the master trust indenture, escalated that according to CPI, again as contemplated in that agreement. And so the toll rate starting in 2027 will be 25.9 cents per mile. Using that number and the mileage that cars will travel going through each of these segments, we assigned a toll rate to each of these locations. So for example, a class 1 vehicle, which is a simple 2-axle, less than 7 feet tall. Again, typical passenger car going through mainline gantry 1 will pay $1.12 if they have a Fuego tag. Again, as contemplated by the traffic and revenue consultant, it is more expensive to toll based on pay by mail, which is taking a picture of a license plate, reading that license plate, looking up the DMV registration information, mailing a notice. So there is the traffic and revenue consultant originally had forecast a 30% markup on pay by mail transactions. CCRMA uses a 33.33% markup. Said another way, the Fuego tag is a 25% discount from the pay by mail rate. Mathematically equivalent. You can say it in either direction. So technically, it's a very small increase over what the traffic and revenue consultant had forecast. We consulted with them and said that it was really not gonna move the needle. We are recommending to adopt CCRMA's policy there and using the 1/3 surcharge for pay by mail. I will say that with our agreement with CCRMA and with Hectra, in order to make this a nice deal where we have no costs up front, we have to make some compromises and adapt to some of their business rules. And so this is one example of that, and I'm going to talk about a couple of others as well. But this is really what I'm here to tell you about, so that you can think about this. We're not asking for action today, just for your information as we dig into this a little bit further.
I have a good question on the tolls. Daniel, how does this compare to the budget for the bond issuance? Is there these higher?
Yeah, I mean,
thought?
I think with the scenario that Andrew laid out, it's actually higher. So if we
Are we worried that'll affect demand or no?
no, I don't think we're worried that it'll deter anybody from using the toll road, but I think the conservative models that I believe Andrew has looked at with HCR is that the revenue actually go up from what we were initially predicting. So we're not seeing any negative impact in doing that.
Amount or not really?
For this particular change, no.
Thank you.
So you can see that those toll rate tables are a little bit complicated, not very easy to put on a sign, especially if somebody's driving at highway speeds. So we are going to be implementing some simplified signage. You see down there in the bottom, originally it was designed to say each additional axle would be so much dollars and cents. Instead, we're saying a 2-axle vehicle, we're putting the Fuego rate and the pay-by-mail rate, and then just putting the words higher rates for larger vehicles underneath that. That is quite common. It's acceptable within the manual and uniform traffic control devices used throughout Texas and actually nationally on these types of facilities where you have a little bit more complicated toll rates. And there's a couple of examples there on the right of where those are used elsewhere. All right, so this is the other business rule modification that that we're being faced with. This is the original bring down letter prepared by C&M Associates. The idea was with the first toll bill that there would be a fee of $1.20 associated with that bill, not per transaction, per notice. So you could expect somebody to have a month's worth of transactions or 30 days worth of transactions on a given notice. And that's really to cover the fixed costs of mailing those notices. Then there would be a notice of non-payment, and then a fee of $18.35, really kind of a penalty for not paying the initial toll bill. That then escalates to a notice of violation with a $36 fee, and finally going to collections with an $18 fee. Again, this was the original contemplated approach, really modeled after Central Texas Regional Mobility Authority, which was originally one of the agencies we were thinking we might partner with many years ago. I'm sorry, one forward. We're missing a slide there. Is there a slide in between those two? No? Okay. All right. So the CCRMA has slightly different business rules than these. So their fees are $1 with the initial notice instead of $1.20. Pretty small change. With the second notice, it's a $15 fee instead of an $18 fee. With the third notice, it stays at $15. And then the fourth one, it goes up to $30. So that is CCRMA's fee structure. We're proposing to adopt that fee structure to keep it simple, again, for the customer, to make sure that they don't see a difference between CCRMA and HCRMA's penalties. The initial forecast from the traffic and revenue consultant on that change actually increases revenue. The other variable is that really influences the increase in revenue is that CCRMA has more people paying at the second notice than C&M Associates originally forecast. So if we think that our customers are going to be similar to CCRMA's, we might see, even though we're reducing some of these fees, we may actually see an increase in revenue. I'm going to leave it there for right now because C&M Associates wants to dig a little bit deeper, see if the customers really are going to be more aligned with the CCRMA, what we're experiencing at CCRMA, or with other customers at Hectora. So more to come on that. But we are, in order to, again, reduce the likelihood of needing to modify the systems and incur some capital cost up front, we think we would want to move forward with the CCRMA fee structure.
Andrew, I have a question.
Yeah.
As far as enforcement, if someone just doesn't pay, what are, I guess, the ramifications or the enforcement actions that we take?
Yeah, so fortunately, Texas law lays out a pretty robust process for that. So first, after all of the notices are sent, then we can send that customer to collections. That collections agency, again, we're looking to piggyback again on CCRMA's existing contractual relationship, but depending on how that is structured, some collections agencies will guarantee you a toll rate, and then they collect what they collect on the back end. In terms of enforcement, Texas legislation defines habitual violators as people who have accumulated 100 or more toll transactions or violations that they have not paid. Once they are a habitual violator, their name can be published on a list, or like a list of shame. You can also request that the Texas DMV refuse to renew their registration. So once that registration comes up for renewal, the Texas can refuse that. That is up to the DOT's discretion about whether they do that or not. There are also civil fines, misdemeanor offenses that can be prosecuted as well. $250 fine, I think, per violation if it gets to that point, and those types of things. Some of those may require going to court, and usually exercised when you have the real habitual violators using your facility. I'll also say that once they get to the habitual violator status, you have the authority to say that that vehicle is no longer allowed to use your facility. If that vehicle is seen on your facility, you have the power to have it impounded. Those are a few of the options.
A little bit. I guess my question is, how much does the CCRMA see of that? Like habitual non-toll payers?
I do not have that information. And I would prefer they provide that to you rather than me. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like, back to what you're saying, what is their collection ratio? You know, what kind of 2%, 3% overall of the,
From what I've seen of the preliminary data that they've provided to us so that we could do our analysis, their collection rates look as good or better than the industry at large. So that's what I can say right now, but I have not dug into.
What's the industry average?
I think generally, let's say 50% collection past that point.
what was it?
And how are the fees collected? Is that something that we outsource to fees and fine, or is that internal?
I was going to say, it's pretty good.
I think so. Is the director remote?
Was Director Pena, but I couldn't hear him.
Can y'all hear me?
Working like he's trying to talk.
Director Pena is trying to pose a question.
I don't know if y'all can hear me or not.
We could faintly hear
I
him.
don't hear anything. Try to talk really loud, Director.
Yeah, my question was, who does the collection? Is that something that we do, or Cameron County, or is it a third party that we retain to do the collection?
Just to back up, all of these notices that we're talking about that are on the screen would be mailed as part of the agreement with Hectra, actually mailed by Hectra, and payments would be made through the Fuego back office system or over the phone with CCRMA. For collections, once it goes beyond that final notice, that is usually with a contracted collections agency. CCRMA uses Linebarger, and we're looking to get some ideas of what that agreement looks like to see if we would want to piggyback on that agreement as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? Again, so we'll come back to you with more information after we've done a little bit more analysis on that. Okay, so along with these next steps is the back office coordination. There is a lot of work to do. So currently, CCRMA has Fuego toll bills. They are branded with CCRMA's logo, with the Fuego logo, with their 550 toll road. They also have statements, terms and conditions, privacy policies, the Fuego tag website, customer correspondence, template emails, training materials, and frequently asked questions. Again, CCRMA has been a great partner. They provided us with, I think, 6 different options for how we might want the notice to look. They were looking for our input on how they could make the notices look a little bit more official to both of our RMAs, but also not create confusion for the customers. So we've analyzed some of the next slides, please. So this is just an example of the headers of these 6 notices that the CCRMA has provided to us. And I wanted to give you a little bit of insight into the thought process that goes behind it as we and staff consider which ones we prefer. Customers think about the roads that they travel on in three ways. One is the agency that owns the road. Two is the name of the road. And three is the brand associated with the toll. So in our case, that would be HCRMA, 365 Tollway, and Fuego. So which of these three things is most relevant to the customer? We did some research. We looked into what customers associate and search even in Google to find out, to look into how to pay a bill. And the answer was overwhelmingly the brand associated with the tag. So in our case would be Fuego. So we looked at Hectra, for example, and said, how many people are searching Hectra? How many people are searching Harris County Toll Road? How many people are searching the Easy Tag, which is their brand? And it was overwhelmingly Easy Tag. To the point, I think it was about 80% of the searches were. So we think that our recommendation is to really make the Fuego brand the most prominent thing on the bill. It will unify the things that the customer is seeing as they drive down the road. When they see the Fuego logo on the toll rate sign, they'll see that on the website when they go to pay their toll bill. And again, these are people who may not have tags, who don't really know what the Fuego means, but they will see that logo. We also think, the second thing is the agency that owns the roadway, and the third was actually the name of the roadway itself. So we really liked option 4. It gives the customer, it notifies the customer of the official agency who owns the road, who's seeking to recoup the tolls that are due, and the Fuego brand that's most closely aligned with the road. We could go back one slide. You'll see the example again of the notice. And HCRMA had proposed potentially putting the logos in a watermark on the second page behind the actual toll rates and notices. Again, driving home, these are the two facilities that these are associated with. We just really liked that approach. Next slide again. So just wanted to kind of give you that there is a science behind this. We are going to be interacting with customers in a brand new way. They are going to start associating HCRMA with this facility and with their ride and with the customer service that they experience. So these are important decisions. So any further questions about that? And again, HCRMA has not yet agreed to number 4, for example. Again, this is part of our dialogue, our ongoing partnership and discussions, and how we're going to continue to work together to make this a unified program. Any other questions before I get into the monthly progress update?
No questions. Go ahead, Andrew. Thanks.
Next slide, please. So last month, additional toll equipment. I know this is usually presented by Ramon, but additional tolling equipment has been installed on the roadways. Out of the 13 tolling sites, if you consider northbound and southbound separately, we have equipment installed at 7 of those. It's actively being installed at another 2, so we're making really good progress. The scope of work, as I mentioned before, was signed and executed, and in fact, we actually just had the project kickoff meeting last Friday, which was actually a little bit ahead of schedule. Traffic Center Management Center and ITS coordination continues in discussions with FAR, and we developed these draft modifications of toll bills. And we also sent HCRMA back some recommendations on how to modify the website to also incorporate our brand of HCRMA. This is a little bit about the background that you probably see every month for the mainline gantries, 5 ramps. Next slide. Nothing has really changed on this slide as well, except for the last bullet. Cost to date is 6.3 million, 63% of capital costs so far. And the final schedule. One change on this slide that you will notice is the go live and SAT, or system acceptance testing, moved from October to November. So this is the soft, what we're calling the soft go live date, when the system would be functional and able to capture transactions on the roadway. That is now November 13th is the date that we've set in partnership with HCRMA and HCRMA to accommodate the back office system changes and testing. Revenue commencement, we anticipate would then happen as soon as a month later, maybe sooner or later.
Andrew, what does a test look like? Do you just drive up and down to make sure they turn off and up and so forth?
There's
the freeway has to be completely open for you to do a test, or can you do it in a section?
Definitely can do it in segments. So back in January, we did a factory acceptance testing, which was on mainline gantry 1. We had trucks, we had motorcycles going back and forth. If you recall some of those photos. So yes, we can test them individually, but really once November 13th hits, that's when it's really system end-to-end testing. That's when we can drive down the road and see the transaction get all the way back into HCRMA's back office system and post to some test accounts and things like that. All right.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. We'll continue on with the heavy highway section. This was issued, I guess this is, next slide. Next slide. Well, this project was issued to Pullis Construction on February 15th of 2022, and time charges commenced on March 17th of 2022. 1,264 calendar days came around, which was September 23rd. The project was not yet complete. We continue with work on the project, and we are currently at 1,364 working days, and continue on with the calendar days. Liquidated damages will be assessed at $16,500 per day, and we continue moving on. To date, we've had 22 change orders approved. We come before the board for approval of change order 23 today. This is having to do with the low head pressure pipe for the irrigation district number 2. A little more detail will be provided further into the report. Next slide. Here's a summary of all of the change orders and a small detail attached to each. You could go on to the next 2 slides. Next. Whoa, next. There you go. So change order number 23 is directly affiliated with the testing requirements of the pipe. I'm sure we are very much acquainted with the ongoing concerns from the irrigation district on the testing and the quality of the pipe. We have removed the areas of concern, the 48, the 60-inch, and the 72-inch pipes. They were walked through by each of the agencies, the manufacturer, CAPA, Hidalgo County Irrigation District number 2, the contractor, Pullis, and ourselves, the HCRMA. We were accompanied by our CMT, our commercial material testing laboratory, Terracon, and we all arrived at different numbers as far as the number of pipes to be accepted. Ultimately, the one that counts is the irrigation district's version or their acceptance, and they have rejected the pipe in totality. So we come before you for 100% reimbursement or 100% replacement fee, and this will be coming before the board for consideration and action. The next slide is a depiction, probably makes no sense to anyone, but I wanted to show this because in July, mid-June, We had no progress on the electrical services on the project. This is the chart affiliated with Magic Valley. We've gotten a majority of these already in service or in place. We are awaiting the determination of a electrical provider to be able to go out there and actually hook these up and get these live so that some of this testing and the materials and the equipment can be powered up and we can function appropriately. Magic Valley is a little under what AEP has done, but I wish we could get these some kind of competitive action between the two to inspire them to move a little faster. But we all know that they're inspired by the dollar, and unfortunately, as to bring a testament to Director De Angel, we have rectified 3 more locations, additional locations where we need to generate new lines. So we will be coming before the board probably next month in the amount of approximately $60,000 for these 3 additional sites, just in preparation for that. Next, you'll see some of the equipment that is being hung for the tolling services. These are some of the insights of what's behind all those stainless steel boxes. There's a lot of switches and a lot of intricacies as far as software and programming and computer parts that go behind there. That's why they're so expensive, and that's why they're so intriguing to the thieves. So we haven't had any mishaps on the project as of yet, but just wanted to provide you some of that insight on what goes in behind the boxes. As far as the what you see before you on this slide, what you see up on the top half of the slide are deficient areas of either concrete paving or cement treated base. We did scientifically capture and evidence to the contractor that these sections were failing, and they have made corrective actions on these. There's a lot of work has been replicated or corrected action and amended. I know the estimate doesn't reflect the true work because we only pay for it once when it passes, and they've worked some of these areas 2 or 3 times already. Next slide. This is a sample of how we did that. This was falling weight data. There's sensors on a bar that go through, and I won't go into the intricacies, but we were able to gather all of it, collect this data and evidence to the contractor that these were failing sections. These are additional photos of where we did remove some of the 72-inch pipe at the station. This is just east of Jackson Road. There was various, next slide. This was there at before I Road. This is the 60-inch pipe, and as stated earlier, we also removed the 48-inch pipes. Next slide. We continue with the infrastructure for drainage, putting in head walls, the riprap, and continue with the pumping system, with the bypass pumping system at the main canal, and await acceptance from the irrigation district on moving forth with this cast in place 9x9 boxes. We can go back 1 slide. These are photos of the San Juan main canal. We have completed the drill shafts on abutment 1 and 2, and on vent 2 and 3. We are now working on the columns and getting those above ground. You'll see progress when we drive through there, drive by. We are making progress on this particular bridge. Next slide. As stated, we are approximately 79% complete at $268,143,126.71. To date, we've used 1,378 working days, and continue on with the project. Here is the overall status. This month we paid out $4,252,377.25. We did have stockpile recovery, or MOH, at approximately at $1,953,218.38. The remainder on the project is approximately $80 million. Next slide. I know this is always a busy slide. I think on the next one, we're gonna have to break it into 2. Next slide. Overall, we got a summary here depicting, again, you see this sharp end off at the end of the year. And from January on, they've committed to finishing it in, well, their schedule, which we received, and I do not have formal documentation in here because it was rejected. They had some inconsistencies on the critical path. We anticipate that to be resubmitted and captured by the end of the month. However, the estimated due date or completion date remains to be July of 2027. That concludes my report. May I entertain questions or concerns at this time?
Ramon?
Yes, sir.
On the pipe,
Yes, sir.
I thought I understood you to say, we were accompanied by Terracon.
Yes, sir.
Our consultant on that. And I'm just curious, can you speak to?
There was approximately $360,000 worth of pipe that were labeled repairable or acceptable by Terracon. These were the various sizes, the 48, the 60-inch more, the 72, but it tallied up to approximately $360,000. We're looking forward to repairing these and utilizing this pipe either on the next project or being able to sell it for revenue and be able to collect something on this pipe. As far as acceptance testing, again, the irrigation district number 2 is sticking to their firmness, being firm, saying that there is no paperwork and documentation on the testing, that they're impeding or they're requiring that we're demanding that we have this test conducted. That's why the new pipe that you'll see on the change order is at a little steeper price, because they will be implementing these testing mechanisms. The testing was excluded from the initial test, the initial specifications in the project when they were signed off of up front initially by the irrigation district number 2.
That answers my question.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Anything else for Ramon? No, thank you. All right, thank you, Ramon.
Thank you.
Okay. Then that will take us down, Daniel, to item number 3, the consent agenda.
All matters listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine by the governing body and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. However, if discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. The governing body may also elect to go into executive session on any item on this agenda, whether or not such item are posted as an executive session item at any time during the meeting when authorized by the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. Will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to.
I've got a motion and a second. If there are no other questions, all those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that passes. Next item.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to section 4A, resolution 2026-55, consideration and approval of change order number 23 to that certain contract with Poulos Construction for the 365 Tollway project. So this is essentially what Ramon was describing. If y'all go to 4A in the packet, you'll see the change order that has been composed. I will refer you all to the memorandum that was authored. We're kind of in a little bit of an unpeculiar predicament here. Essentially, the HCRMA adopted TxDOT's standard specifications, for irrigation pipe. So that's what was included in the plan set at the time of letting. At this time, we really cannot identify any wrongdoing of the contractor in terms of placement of the pipe, And then as well, the pipe that was placed, it comes from a certified manufacturer, right? So they're on the NPL's list. I believe they're also ANSI approved as well. So, there's a certification that they need to uphold with the American Concrete Pipe Association. So essentially, the irrigation district, they're contesting that the pipe was tested for hydrostatic testing at the plants, and they're also asking for exfiltration testing in the field. So this pipe that was originally installed, what the agreement was between the RMA and the irrigation district during mediation was that, essentially the pipe would be removed, it would be inspected. If it looked favorable, it could be placed back. The irrigation district, I guess, even the pipe that did look good, they also asked for hydrostatic testing on that as well. And, those types of reports are a little bit hard to run down. I think we had some recent reports on the recent manufacturing of the pipe, but that's not really standard industry practice. Usually what they'll do is they'll do the hydrostatic testing, right, to remain on Texas NPL, to do it to have their certification. They really don't do it per project, etc. So really, we're at this point we're just really needing this work to get done to proceed with work associated to the critical path. And that's the amount of $2.9 million. I would say that this change order has been negotiated quite thoroughly. If you go down your packet, there's an 11 by 17 sheet right here on the packet. We were able to reduce the unit price with the contractor. And, if we were not able to bring down the price with the contractor, the change order would have come out to $3.6 million. So there was some due diligence to reduce the unit price. We also looked at different options, different ways to avoid this work. We had looked at slip lining the pipe. We had looked at, going joint by joint, reinforcing the pipe. Obviously, those things would need approval from the irrigation district. And, those deviate from what the mediation agreement stated. So, I mean, at this point in time, really, this is really the best that could be done, given what was agreed to in the mediation agreement between the RMA and the irrigation districts, and I guess in terms of reducing the price with the contractor.
So in the first, the initial contract that we set up, the hydrostatic testing was never mentioned. And now they're asking for hydrostatic testing.
Yeah. So on the approved standard specification that TxDOT has, it does not require hydrostatic testing at the project level. Now, the company, they do need to do that hydrostatic testing to maintain their certification with TxDOT and then also with the American Concrete Association for pipes. So they do need to do that to maintain their certification, but there was not a project level requirement for that, for the hydrostatic testing.
Busting this, can we do the hydrostatic testing? Or is it failed?
Yeah, so with this change order, now the hydrostatic testing is going to be done for the project, and they're going to witness the hydrostatic testing being performed at the plant. There's also the exfiltration testing that's going to be done in the field at the request of the irrigation district.
It's here on page 29 of this, the initial report here. RCLHPP rejected for reuse must be replaced and new ASTM C361A25 pipe. Was that ever mentioned in the original agreement, that specific type of pipe?
Yeah, so essentially the low head pressure pipe and its associated ASTM, it is part of the original contract. So the way it's manufactured, that's part of the original contract. We did use TxDOT's approved standard specification. The problem is that the irrigation district is stating that there's no way to prove that they did the hydrostatic testing at the plant. So in other words, they're saying that there's no evidence to show that the manufacturer did that hydrostatic testing on the plant. And
There has to be an SOP at the manufacturing level.
say that again?
There has to be an SOP at the manufacturing level, standard operating procedure
Yeah.
at the manufacturing level that would say step number 4 or 5,
Yeah.
what have you. They did the test. It's either there or it's not.
Yeah, which is the requirements to remain on TxDOT's MPL list.
Yeah, so
So-
they're certified. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on an approved list, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, I mean, on the memorandum, it says that we're pretty much processing this under duress, just to continue prosecuting the work.
My main concern here is, as I looked at this, it's, concern is changing again. How do we verify that they're not going to request something else after this? We're going to spend $2 million, and I mean, what safety procedures are you putting in place that they're not going to come back and say, oh, well, now I want it like this?
I mean, I think at this point, we have the change order that essentially has already change ordered in the hydrostatic testing to be observed at the plant. We have also changed in the exfiltration testing as well to be done in the field. This pretty much is in complete alignment with the mediation agreement, that was signed by the RMA and signed by the Irrigation District number 2. This change order has even gone so far to where it's 100% new pipe. So really, I mean, at this point in time, I mean, I really can't see any other angle that the Irrigation District would pursue. But if they were, I mean, that's outside of anything that had already been discussed. That's really outside of anything that took place during the mediation agreement. So I think at that point in time, I think we would for sure push back. And even here, I mean, we've kind of pushed back on some items that they've brought up associated to the change order.
I don't know that we kind of pushed back. We pushed back.
Yeah.
I mean, and we met and we re-met and you met and I met and
Yeah.
and we really have the staff but this is where we're at, folks. And so at this point, I mean, let's continue with any other questions. But I mean, I just want it known that every effort was made, to try to, number one, understand the contract and keep the project going, but also work with, someone that we understand has a duty to the public they serve as well. And so it's a tough issue. Here we are. My understanding is that staff's, I mean, you have here, you're recommending that we approve this change order, and that keeps the project going. Of course, we do not know if there's something else that might come up. That's a good question, but we're hopeful that there's not. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, I guess what I would say is, I mean, there was a mediation agreement signed between the HCRMA and the Irrigation District. And I think what's here reflects that agreement on the mediation agreement. So really anything else they bring up is outside of the mediation agreement that was signed. And that would be the pushback if something else does come up associated to this.
I would recommend, if you take my recommendation, I'm not an engineer, builder anyway, but I would hold their hand through the process and work hand in hand, maybe every couple days, phone calls. If they want to be on site for the inspection, let them be on site for the inspection. Don't let it pertain up to some SOP or something. If they're complaining about something, you have them there watching it.
Yeah.
So they cannot, and then right there, raise your hand. If you've got a problem, raise your hand. Because if they can, they will. Just from history, unfortunately.
Yes, I completely agree.
I have a question. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Is the mediation agreement tied to this specific geographic location? So I guess my question is, can they raise concerns or complaints about other sections of the project not tied into this specific mediation agreement?
Yeah, so the mediation agreement actually had several parts of the project tied to that mediation agreement. So this is just one location associated to that mediation agreement. So, I mean, it looks like this hopefully has been resolved. This should be resolved with execution of this change order. and we're finalizing the other locations, where they had concerns.
I guess so. Should we expect more change orders for those other locations? I guess is my follow-up question. Is that
Yes, so for this location, this should be the last change order. There should be no other change order associated to this location.
but there are other locations?
Yeah, there is another location. Yeah, so, I want to make sure that the board's well aware of that. And this goes back to those 9x9 boxes that Ramon was talking about. The irrigation district wanted an expansion joint on the 9x9 boxes that are being installed. So that might potentially cause a change order with the contractor, but I guess on that item, we're trying to keep costs as low as possible. And then through engineering, we're trying to reduce costs. So I guess part of their design part of the request might trigger some other items, right, to be added to the design. Through engineering, we're trying to minimize the changes. But to answer your question, there probably will be another change order associated to that expansion joint.
We don't have a rough order of magnitude of that change yet.
Say that again?
We don't have a rough order of magnitude of that change yet.
Not yet, no. Yeah, not yet.
I'll make a motion to approve change order 23.
I second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second to approve change order 23. If there's no other discussion or comments, all those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Thank you. That carries, Daniel. Next item.
Okay, moving on to resolution 2026-61. Consideration and approval to solicit requests for qualifications for surveying services for the Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority. So essentially what this is, we're gonna go out for RFQs, requests for qualifications, and this is to do survey work for segment 4. As I mentioned before, we're trying to design this in-house to get shovel ready. Part of that RFQ includes right-of-way survey, design survey, SUE work, and I guess at the moment, we have the schematic approved, we have the environmental approved. We're wanting to progress the PSCD on it. This work that we're soliciting is pretty much required to ensure that we complete our PSCD design.
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor vote aye.
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 Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Thank you. Next item, Daniel, C.
The next item, resolution 2026-62. Consideration and approval to enter into interlocal partnership agreement with the Texas Association of School Boards, TASB, Energy Cooperative to provide electrical services for the 365 tollway system, and to adopt an authorized coordinator to bind the Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority to letters of commitment. So essentially, as Ramon had mentioned, we need electricity for our projects. Pretty much what this resolution does is it allows us to enter into an agreement with the TASB Energy Cooperative for them to procure the electricity agreements, to try to lower costs. For us, as being a government agency, we're allowed to participate in this cooperative. Some initial quotes that we have received so far, if we were to go through this, NRG, for instance, there's a quote for $0.058 cents per kilowatt hour, which is relatively cheap. The chairman would be authorized to enter into the agreement with the Energy Cooperative. After we had the agreement, then I, as executive director, I could enter into letters of commitment or other agreements with the cooperative for electrical services for a given amount of time. We could terminate our agreement as long as we give a 30 days notice, so long as we don't have any letters of commitment in place or any agreements in place. And, I guess the staff considers this an economical way, to secure low energy costs and to go through a cooperative, to negotiate this and to do the procurement. So we're recommending the approval for this. Sorry? So it's the Texas Association of School Boards, Energy Cooperative. I believe they work with local electricity vendors, but I'm not sure where they're geographically located. Would you know?
It's basically,
They're located in Houston.
okay, basically another option, and you wouldn't enter into an agreement with them unless you felt that that option was as good, if not better, than any place else you may be looking. Am I understanding that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Based on that information, I make a motion. Approve as presented.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, that carries. Next item, Daniel.
Okay. And then item 4D and 4E, they're associated to the same item. Resolution 2026-65, consideration approval of supplemental number 2 to organization number 8 to the professional service agreement with Quintanilla, Headley and Associates to provide surveying services for Hidalgo County Irrigation District number 2 easements as part of the 365 tollway project. So as was mentioned at the last meeting, there are 7 parcels that are looking to be acquired. They're associated to the Irrigation District number 2. The last survey contract that was signed, it was essentially to do the surveying, to do the recording, the platting. This specific work organization, this is essentially, to kind of break it up a little bit more, kind of identifying easements that would be associated to the Irrigation District number 2. This is a very low dollar amount. It's $3,712.50. And as was mentioned at the last board meeting, essentially, this would kind of wrap up pending right-of-way issues with Irrigation District number 2.
Make a motion to approve.
I second.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We've got an abstention. Record, please. Thank you. Next item, Daniel.
Yes, I would make a motion to enter into executive session.
But I think we
Yeah,
just
we
need to
would-
do 4E, so I make a motion to approve 4E.
I'll second.
Yeah. That's
Oh, I'm
what
sorry.
Looking for. I've got a motion and a second on 4E. There's no other discussion or questions, then all those in favor vote aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, that takes us to item number 5. There are no tabled items, so I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Yes, and we'll be going over 6A and 6L in executive session.
Keep me straight here. Thank you. So state that again, Daniel. We're going into executive session for?
It's 6A and 6L.
Okay. And I hear a motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Executive session. Let's make sure we work on Director Peña. Let's see. We need a motion to reconvene.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, back in the meeting. And after executive session, I don't see anything else. Do I hear a motion? Daniel? I don't see him.
Thank you. Went to the
Other
restroom.
staff, I think we're good. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
I second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And until
Daniel, did
next
you have
time.
anything?
Did you have anything, Daniel?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thanks all of y'all. Yeah, very good.